And also to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening at this moment at the Gaza Strip, we're being joined by Professor John Blaxland, who is an international security expert and a professor in intelligence studies and international security, and is joining us live on the broadcast here. Now, Professor Blaxland, it's been 24 hours now since the fighting is resumed. The ceasefire, which had gone on for about 7 days, came to an end. Now, Israel says that its intention is to try wipe out Hamas, but it is doing so by dropping bombs in some of the most densely populated neighborhoods anywhere in the world. It has sparked a humanitarian catastrophe which is being made worse at this moment at the Gaza Strip. Does Israel actually have a strategy in achieving the objective that it claims that it wants to?
Yeah, look, good to be with you. And it is a shocking situation. It's devilishly difficult. Of course, we need to remember that this is largely an information war. While what we're seeing on the screens is about death and destruction, the effect that I think the Hamas has always sought is for this to kind of paint Israel as the ogre, as the bully, as the perpetrator of the violence, trying to make people forget what happened on October the 7th, and to rally the cause. Let's not forget Hamas prior to October the 7th was being completely marginalized. Saudi Arabia was on the cusp of doing a deal with Israel. They were almost completely isolated except for support they were getting from Iran and some moral support from Turkey. So this has been a game changer for Hamas. They have been very happy to, well, they've been prepared to see Palestinians sacrificed essentially for the cause, while the Hamas themselves have been hidden away. The hospitals have been used as shields. The resumption of violence is a direct consequence of them not being prepared to give more captives up for exchange for Palestinian detainees in Israel.
Professor Blaxland, if I can just interject there, but Israel also has a choice in terms of how it goes after Hamas. You know, what is interesting is that a lot of the top leadership of Hamas is not even present in the Gaza Strip. So if Israel wants to go after Hamas, it should go after Hamas with precision strikes. But what we are witnessing are these 2-ton bombs being dropped in places like Khan Yunis, and they are so densely populated, which is going to make things worse. The death toll is already well over 15,000. There are more than 6,000 children. Many of them do not even know that they are Palestinians who've been killed in this conflict. Is there something different that Israel, that is backed by the United States, can do?
So, look, I'm not sure that those numbers are quite correct. We get those figures from Hamas. Hamas, let's not forget, is a terrorist organization that is bent on actually not telling the truth. So we hear reports of Hamas states, and we hear reports that Israel alleges. It's very interesting the language that's used, to accept what Hamas says at face value.
But we can at least accept what the United Nations is saying. The United Nations says that it is a humanitarian catastrophe that is playing out in the Gaza Strip.
It is a humanitarian.
The United Nations chief has said that Gaza has become a graveyard for children.
Yeah, but what is Israel's options? Let's be realistic here. Israel is facing a terrorist organization that is prepared, and it's continuing to repeat its line that it wants to exterminate the Israelis. Okay, what is it to do? It was in a situation where they were making some rapprochement with the Hamas people from Gaza Strip who were being employed in neighboring areas of Israel. That clearly has completely failed, and no one in the neighborhood is offering any help. So,
but Professor Blaxland, this brings back to the question that I started with. If I can just put the question again, the question that I asked was, can Israel resort to these pinpoint accurate strikes rather than resorting to strikes where there is enormous collateral damage? Collateral damage is a term that is used militarily for deaths of innocent civilians who've got nothing to do with this war.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, which is why you've got to ask yourself, why has Hamas allowed them to be there? Why has Hamas sought to control what they're doing and where they're doing it? Why has Hamas not continued its trade of detainees? Now, there's no question that you can challenge Israel for the scale of the bombing and the use of the particular precision weapons, but it's been clear, and a lot of security pundits around the world are acknowledging that Israel faces a challenge where it either has to get rid of Hamas or it faces a repeat of this into the future.
Right.
And nobody is offering to help.
Right.
The United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, no one's offering a peacekeeping force to go in to help to hold the Gaza Strip and prevent Hamas from returning to office. So what is Israel to do realistically other than to pursue Hamas? Now, there's no question, you are completely right. The scale of the bombing is terrible. It is absolutely shocking. It's deeply disturbing for everybody. But this is a war. This is a war that Hamas wanted.
This is a war, one would assume, on Hamas and not on the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. And one expects that Israel would use precision strikes to, in fact, target the Hamas leadership to begin with. That's the least that one expects here. But, Professor, thank you very much indeed for joining us with that perspective. We're completely out of time. And this is, of course, a discussion that, that we'll continue to have. But at this moment, what is happening in the Gaza Strip is a humanitarian
situation, but no one's offering seriously to help, mate. This is the problem. Israel is largely on its own here, which is getting some moral support from the United States and substantial support. But it is getting a pushback from many other countries, and none of them, there's faint praise from those who could actually come up with a solution. And that will be akin
Professor,
to what happened.
Completely out of time. I think you've had your say. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us and getting us that perspective then.
All right.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.